Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a best of 3 series of Zerg versus Protoss that was recently played in the GSL Code S. Now, from what I understand, this is a really fun series, so we're gonna find out together exactly what ended up going down as in game number 1 in the top left-hand corner. You know him, you love him. We have none other than Dark, and he's going up against one of the world's greatest defensive Protosses. With the blue Protoss pieces, we're looking at none other than Stats' main Nexus. Stats has probably improved the most at the professional level over the last couple of months. Don't get me wrong, he's always been good. Historically, of course, he's been amazing. But at IEM Katowice, in February of this year, he got absolutely destroyed. I don't think he won a single series. I think he went 0 in 5, if I'm not mistaken. He did pick up a map or 2, but that was really about it. He managed to qualify for that event by taking down some What are we doing? Some relatively manageable opponents. And overall, I was just not too impressed by Stats' gameplay. It seems, though, that over the last few months, he really has been making a ton of progress. Now, Dark going for an 18 hatch at home, and then I guess another 18 hatch as well in his opponent's hatch, or his opponent's natural expansion. Okay. Anyways, the last few times that I've seen Stats play, he's been looking significantly better. To the point where it seems like he's gained like 1,000 MMR at the pro level in like 3 months' time. So, even though in my mind, Dark is certainly the favorite going into this, because Dark is Dark, and he does stuff like this, which is very annoying. Stats certainly has been looking pretty formidable as of late. Ooh, careful with that little drone. Alrighty. Now, I thought this would be a fun matchup, mostly because of the fact that Dark tends to be quite cheesy. He hasn't been playing a ton of late game as of late, and he's been going for a lot of very aggressive build orders. Most of the pro gamers in the GSL Code S just go for their standard builds, but Dark doesn't really have standard builds. And he certainly doesn't mind throwing a few curveballs. The problem is, of course, that he's going up against the Protoss player who historically has been known as the Shield of Ire. If Showtime is the Mauer, Stats has been the Korean equivalent of that, you know? Except, at least as far as tournaments go, significantly more successful. Always very defensive, always very good at not taking a lot of damage, especially in the earlier stages of the game. So, ultimately, this proxy hatch shenanigans didn't really achieve that much, but it did throw the Protoss player off of their build order, and that's the main goal right here for Dark. Usually, whenever a proxy hatch is executed, Protosses will fall back to whatever their default is, and 9 times out of 10 in the current meta, that will be a Stargate opener. Dark does see this coming in as well from a mile away right now. Still has that drone that was turned into a hatchery earlier. Patrolling around in the main base of the Protoss player, so he knows exactly what he's playing against. And at the very least, that gives him a bit of time right now to prepare. Now, this does, of course, make the game a little awkward as well, though, for the Zerg. Sure, he may have thrown the Protoss player off of their builds, but if you go, yeah, 2 hatcheries, one in your natural and one on your opponent's side of the map, you obviously end up delaying things like, for example, link speed. And at this point, so far so good right here for Stats. Well managed. Can he keep one of the Adepts alive? Okay. One of them indeed will stay alive. 7 Zerglings, forcing out this many Lings as well. Really quite nice. One of the problems with losing both Adepts is that you usually, okay, he gets a drone at least. I think this is a bit of an overextension. It's difficult to take the 3rd base now, but he is going for a Void Ray first. Okay. Void Ray, I've got a love-hate relationship with Void Rays. I think Oracles are basically better in every way except shooting up. So, Void Rays can be quite good at, for example, killing a couple Overlords, but most of the time, you're gonna need that Void Ray right now to actually secure a 3rd base. Normal timing of a 3rd is right about 30 seconds ago. You can see that Dark manages to delay this one quite a bit, and that is mostly due to those Adepts dying. Okay. Lair coming up on the back of this. Spore Crawler also producing. I would imagine that Dark did get a bit of vision. Yeah, he did see the Void Ray producing earlier, so he knows that he doesn't need a super quick... Really? Okay. This is a dangerous one, actually, here from Stats. I mean, he does have an Oracle out at this point, but he doesn't really know if he's safe to send it across. It would have been very possible that Dark made like 30 Zerglings here, and that Nexus would certainly go down. But I think because of the early game here with the proxy hatch and because of those adepts, STATS is putting his opponent on heavy droning at this point in time, and it looks like that is exactly what he's got. So, well mind-gamed here so far by STATS. Not really making any mistakes. We're going straight into a Forge, straight into a Twilight Council. That Void Ray, it's got one confirmed kill, fair enough. It did apparently find the Overlord that was on the right side of the map. I don't love the Void Ray, I always kind of feel like it's a relatively weak play, but... Dark decides to go for a Nydus network. Okay. So... I like a Nydus network, especially if you have a super clean early game, and I don't think we can call this a clean early game. Say the Protoss player loses 2 Adepts, doesn't really get any kills with them, loses one of the Oracles. Yeah, then suddenly a Nydus Worm is amazing. But when you already have played a bit of a spotty early game as it is, the Nydus Worm is significantly more all-in. Now, STATS hasn't scouted it at this point. Apparently, we're gonna just put it down right outside of the 3rd base of the Protoss player. Fair enough. Adepts haven't really done too much here on the back of this, but the Zerglings are coming across and so will the Queens. There's Brenda, Susan, Margaret, Karen, Lily. They're all here. Secondary Nydus Worm as well, trying to see if it can go a little bit closer to the front. More Queens are gonna be popping out. Dark at the very least needs to kill this 3rd. Yeah, he should be able to get that. Those Queens are really hard to stop. I think this is actually also a reaction to having that that Void Ray. He drones on the back of this, which I like. I think droning on the back of this makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah, this is a Dark game to a T so far. Misfiring right there from STATS. Does get 2 drones. Gives up on the 3rd base altogether, though. So, we do not have anything like a Robo facility or anything along those lines at this point. So, it's just going to be Blink Stalker. I don't think Dark really wants to... Why? I don't think there's a reason to stay. What are we gonna achieve here by staying on this side of the map? Blink is close to finishing. Yeah. I think you need to go home, dude. Brenda, don't do it. Margaret, stop transfusing. Backing up to the safety of the shield battery. Super battery activated as well. Blink is done. Okay. Brilliant timing right there, actually, from Dark. He can't have known how close that upgrade was to finishing, but he backed up in the game sense is on point at the very least. He backed up inside of the Nydus Worm at the perfect moment. Alrighty. In the meantime, the Zerg player did drone up. So even though he didn't really have that many workers earlier, now we're all the way up to 67. Hydra Den has been made. And mass Hydra production will apparently commence. New 3rd base has been remade by STATS, who did, by the way, pull his probes quite early. So he didn't really lose that many workers. Yeah, 8 in total, apparently, over at the 3rd base location. The main problem is that he's oversaturated at this point in time, so he really is going to need another base here momentarily. Those Stalkers are strong, though. I think the Stalkers will struggle against fully upgraded Hydras, especially when Lurkers hit the battlefield. They can be shut down, but at the moment, STATS certainly does have the more powerful army. In a straight-up battle, he's certainly going to win. Only just now is when a Robo facility is coming up, though. And without a Robo, you can't make a Twilight, a Warp Prism. Twilight Council is nice, but you would like to reinforce this army as well. So this should buy quite a bit of time right here for Dark. Who's, by the way, going for Laratech Lurkers. That's a bit funky, but I think in this game I don't mind it so much. This is very likely going to be a gateway-based all-in right here from STATS, or at the very least that's what it seems to be leading to. So if you can get a couple Lurkers out, I mean, they're still going to be really good, even without those Hive Tech upgrades. Yeah, they're expensive though. Stalkers continue. +1 melee is finishing up right now, but good control by STATS. I feel like STATS has barely lost anything so far in the game. Yeah, he obviously lost the Nexus, but he hasn't actually lost a whole lot of army units. He hasn't also remade a lot of workers, though. So a few probes are coming up every once in a while. But we're only at 55 workers at this point in time. And lair tech lurkers or not, hive tech upgrades or not, these units are gonna be... Oh, he's on hold position! Oh, that was cute. He was making them sit there on hold fire, preventing those lurkers from... Oh, he actually showed them to his opponent at the latest possible time, and then he immediately is sending them through the Nydus worm. We have another network here. Send across the map. Zealots will be able to get on top of it. Hydras are popping out, but I think they're... Yeah, they're just gonna get destroyed. Okay, that was actually really nice right there for stats. If he had a bunch of lurkers right now knocking at the front door, this could be quite annoying. Good movement here as well by stats, though. Finds that base on the left side of the map. +2 melee has started up here for the Zerg player, so he really wants to double down on countering stalkers. Lovely dynamic game so far. Careful with that immortal. Don't lose the immortal for free. Zealots are coming in for the rescue. It's a lot of Zerglings going down, so I guess it's not at least for free, but... Zerglings are really just here to counter whatever they can. There's those lurkers. Lair tech lurkers. It's actually kind of fun. These are more like Brood War lurkers now. Okay, maybe not. But a little bit. We have a recall. Stalkers are going back home. Is there enough for the Zerg? I honestly don't think so. There's a lot of supply available, and there's a lot more units coming, but that recall was actually perfectly timed by stats. Catching that army off guard, Zerglings are just getting demolished here. Queens finally show up right now at the front too, but his army from the Protoss is looking massive, and it indeed does if that Storm upgrade. Nicely done by stats. Gets in, blinks forward, Queens derping out amongst each other. Storm, okay, is going to force them back inside of the worm. Great control right here by stats. Great decision making. Now finally is when we see an infestation pit. Dark did make a 5th hatchery, but he never droned up the 4th. And even though he's been economically ahead, I guess, it's really nothing to write home about. Impressive stuff here by stats, actually. The fact that he decided to tech up towards Psionic Storm during all that aggression. It's very difficult, because Storm is one of those upgrades that is a bit of a no-brainer when you get there, but getting there is the tough part. It's expensive. The High Templar are incredibly vulnerable, especially initially. You're trying to keep the cooldowns going on your warp gates, so you can warp in as many Stalkers as possible, but if you warp in a load of Stalkers, obviously you can't tech up. It's much more tempting to go for like a second Robo or something along those lines, but then you lack splash damage against mass Hydra Ling armies. Going into Colossi also feels kind of bad. So stats made the executive decision here to go straight into those High Templar, and he managed to get there at the perfect time. Hive coming up right now. I'm assuming this will just be a continued lurker tech here from Dark. I don't think this is really a situation for him to... Yeah, he would like to maybe go up to Brute Lords, but I don't think that's really something he can do at this point in time. Stalker's overextending a little bit, but also dragging the entire Zerg army towards the left, allowing a bit of a path here for those Protoss units in the middle. Do we have a prism? Okay, we do. Come on. You need to join. There we go. Yeah. I think he wanted to push here, but he needs another warp in or two because his money is way too high. One Templar goes down. A lot of Hydras do take a beating. We have Zealots and Templar being warped in. Are we going to make Archons? Yeah, we are going to make Archons. Lurkers are getting their Seismic Spines research going right now, which is their ranged improvement. But at this point, the Zerg army is actually quite vulnerable. Fighting on creep is dangerous, though. Archon here in the back. Storms zoning away against all of those Hydralisks. High Templar as well from the bottom of that ramp. Another warp in will soon commence. There we go. I mean, we should probably warp in a couple more units because we do have 8 gateways in total. Hydra's coming in from 2 angles. A third angle here at the bottom, too. Ah, Stats is winning every fight. That's so sick. GG. Well done. Very well done. Game number 2. We find ourselves on Oceanborn. Wonderful game right there by Stats. Yeah. Not really making really any crucial errors at all. Dark decided to throw the kitchen sink at the opponent, figuring that, well, Stats was gonna lose, and he didn't. So you find yourself in this weird position. What now do you do on Oceanborn? You probably just play a normal game. The thing is, it seems like a lot of the top level Zergs right now are quite allergic to playing late game. They're going for a lot of, yeah, strategies that sort of force the issue. Dark certainly is amongst them. He likes playing these aggressive builds, and I don't know if he's just not comfortable currently playing the late game. Maybe the balance changes are hitting him particularly hard, but he hasn't really been playing them much. Usually, as soon as he goes to offline events, or big tournaments in general, Dark does switch up his playstyle quite a bit compared to the smaller online cups. So if you look at the smaller online cups, right? So say, for example, the ESL Open, if you look at the weekly tournaments, he will do a ton of cheese. Especially in the earlier rounds, he will cheese every single game just to try and get the games over with quickly. Because if he's playing against... Anybody can sign up for those open tournaments, right? If he's playing against me, he would probably destroy me in under 5 minutes. Usually, though, as soon as Dark goes to these bigger events, he does play a lot more macro-focused. But that first game was not particularly inspiring. Fun game. Very fun game. But at least... yeah, unless Protoss makes a mistake, it doesn't really seem like something that would just straight up win. Well done, though, by Stats. That was a great example of what I was talking about earlier. Seemingly about 1,000 MMR above where he used to be just about 3 months ago. Maybe a little longer at this point. Anyways. Standard opener once again here by Stats. Is he going to do anything other than a Stargate? Probably not. Should be a Stargate. Yep. You can tell because he's delaying the Cybercore upgrade. This is something that Dark will look at right now as well. He's going to look at the little spinny spin. Sees it fire up right now, and that is an indicator that this is going to be a Stargate opener, because the Stargate, of course, is 150 gas, whereas the two alternative options that you can go for after the Cybercore tech, they are 100 gas each. And this upgrade over here is 50 gas too. That math is mathing. Now, I guess you could take a second gas geyser a little bit quicker if you really want to go warp gates as well as a Stargate at the same time. But then the problem is that your Cybercore is going to be delayed. Or I guess your Nexus, which, yeah, none of it is optimal. Alrighty. I feel like historically, Stats has always been really good in games like the one that we just saw. The ones where he's being messed with early on. He seems to have all of the different approaches, all of the different answers to whatever Zerg can throw at them. He's got them all very mapped out. That previous game was an excellent example. Going into, especially the Psystorm research there is a really dangerous decision, because it takes forever. A couple Zerglings get in, they will confirm exactly what's up. Maybe get a probe, maybe not. Okay, let's see. A lot of link production here. Actually, not that much. 1 drone, 2 drones. I think he should have settled for 1. Yeah, that's too much, actually. I like that play if you're a weaker player, like if you're the underdog, just getting whatever damage you can and then getting out is... But I think Stats can get more value out of these oracles for the remainder of the game. Right now it'll be difficult for at least the first one. And for just a 2 drone start, I don't think that's quite ideal. Yeah, you gotta be so careful now. It will be triple oracle. Fully assuming, by the way, that this will be a... It's a pretty quick lair once again here from Dark. No Roach Warren. No Evo Chamber. No tech. No Bingling Nest either, although that's very uncommon these days. Here goes the Adepts. Here goes the Twilight Council together with the Forge. I'm assuming, by the way, that this will be Dark once again doing something a little weird. Because I don't think Stats will be doing anything funky. This is about as normal as you can play a game. Okay. Here goes the Adept Shade. What was the lair for? Okay, good shade over here. I really like this. Yeah. Ooh. Nydus again? No way. Gets scouted immediately too. Plus, he keeps that Oracle alive. Yeah, he's only lost 2 adepts up to this point. He's trying to get out. Ay, ay, ay. That was a really good sequence of events right there for stats. So he killed 17 links right before another Nydus all-in. Gets into that choke point, only loses 2 adepts. Keeps the oracles alive. And he even fires up the Twilight Council upgrades right now, as well as the Forge. That is how comfortable he is. Now, I think he should go for a shield battery. Unless he, like, misread what was going on, because he had vision of it. Maybe he actually didn't see. He had vision of it, but I don't know if he clicked it. I'm assuming he did. There were a lot of things going on at the same time. Honestly, though, even without shield batteries, I've got a feeling this is a... Yeah, he's only got 4 gateways. That's kind of the issue. Okay, oracles. Where are they? Okay, yeah, they got recalled just now. The queens are here. Okay. I think Stats did not quite click on the structure. He saw something building. Bit of deja vu from the previous game now. Oracles have to activate their pulsar beam, at least 2 of them, to try and shut down that worm. Dark is droning behind this. Honestly, this is a better position, though, for Stats than in the previous game, because he's got way more workers now. Obviously doesn't have a place for most of them to mine, or at least a third or so of them to mine. There's the battery overcharge again. Oracle's doing their little Oracle mating dance. +1 and Blink will finish up soon. Okay, nicely done right here. I think he's fine. I don't see how Dark is gonna break this. It's a Hydra Den once again, and actually, in the meantime, look at this. Stats has decided to proxy a gateway on the other side. He is agreeing with me that he's gonna be able to clean this up, and then he wants to immediately retaliate on the other side. I think he's gonna counterattack, so even though he doesn't have a quick robo facility in this game, he will not be able to reinforce on the other side of the map using a Warp Prism. He's gonna be using the gateway instead. And somehow, some way, maybe this is the probe from earlier, I'm not exactly sure. This has completely escaped the vision of the Zerg. It's the same follow-up here from Dark. +1 melee, together with Hydralisks. Third Nexus will have to be rebuilt right over here. Because there's also a load of creep tumors here over on the left side. But this counterattack here from Stats is going to be super dangerous for Dark. Question is, does he have enough? 6 Stalkers get warped in. There are 7 gateways in total. I guess that's the last one. There we go, yeah. Let's see. Let's dance. Zerglings are coming in from the back. There's still those oracles from earlier. I think Stats has more than enough army here. Honestly, very well done by Stats. The only thing that has not gone his way here is that he didn't click on the structure when he saw it building. So he didn't actually realize that it was a Nydus network. Perfect timing here, though. Great reaction. Adjusting to what his opponent is doing. This is what you get when you go for the same build. Or at least a variation of the same theme. Twice in a row. Stats is reacting, and his response here in game 2 is better than the one that he went for in the first game of this series. I love the fact that he decided to go for that proxy pylon and the proxy gateway when he was still dealing with queens in his natural expansion. That's a clear indicator that he realized he was going to be able to defend that. He was already thinking about the next step. 19 drones have gone down. I think that's honestly too much. Yeah, he's smelling blood in the water, though. Stats feels like he can win the game right here, right now, and with that, the series. And indeed, he's right. GG is cold. It's Stats who wins over Dark 2-0.